Welcome to Tattletale. Here's today's story, Inheritance Code. It started with a letter, not an email, not a phone call, a wax-sealed envelope delivered by courier to each of us. Me, my sister Fiona, my brother Caleb, and the half-sister we barely knew, Elise. We hadn't seen each other in nearly a decade. Not since the last time we stood in the same room with our father, Victor St. James, the reclusive tech billionaire who had shaped the world with his AI empire, Hallion Industries. The letter was short, typed, and signed in pen. You are formally summoned to the St. James Island estate for the execution of my last will and testament. Attendance is mandatory. You may bring one personal item, nothing else. Arrive by July 2nd, sundown. Bring no expectations. Victor. Mandatory. That was just like him. I, Jackson St. James, hadn't spoken to him in 5 years. Fiona left at 18 and never looked back. Caleb spent the last decade trying to live up to Victor's shadow. And Elise? Well, Elise was the mystery. A product of a marriage none of us wanted to acknowledge. But we all showed up. A private jet picked us up. No pilots, just an automated system that felt eerily silent. The island was surrounded by gray sea, jagged cliffs, and a single road that led to a glass and steel mansion perched atop a mountain like a crown. When we arrived, the front gate greeted us with a voice. Welcome, heirs. Your challenge begins now. Caleb laughed. Is this a joke? Fiona frowned. He was always theatrical. The door opened. We stepped in. No staff, no lawyers, just a glowing console at the center of the foyer. A countdown was already ticking. 71 hours, 59 minutes, and 57 seconds. Then, the house spoke again. To inherit, you must prove you were worth raising. We wandered through the mansion like strangers in a museum curated by a ghost. Every room was spotless, every hallway embedded with sensors. The lights adjusted to our presence, the walls hummed with unseen electricity, and surveillance drones silently tracked us from room to room. No one told us what to do, so we separated. I found myself in the study, a cavernous room of dark oak and minimalist furnishings. On the desk, a red envelope marked with my name. Inside was a single memory chip and a note. Start here. I slotted the chip into the console. The screen flickered to life. There he was, Victor. Younger, sharper, and speaking directly to me. Jackson, you always had questions. Let me answer the ones you never dared to ask. But first, you'll need to remember what you forgot. The safe under the desk. Code, 1997. I looked under the desk. A safe. The code worked. Inside was a leather-bound journal. My journal, from when I was 13. Pages torn. Scrawled entries. References to dreams. To experiments. To Elise. I hadn't written in this since before she was even born. My head throbbed. From the hallway, I heard a voice. Jackson, Fiona called. Come here. You need to see this. I grabbed the journal and ran. She was standing in the dining room. The long glass table had transformed into a screen. Projected on it was a map of the mansion. Our names blinked at different points. Caleb's signal was still. Elise's was gone. The house spoke again. Challenge 1 begins now. Retrieve the memory Elise has lost. Fail, and she stays forgotten. Stay forgotten? What the hell does that mean? Fiona asked, already scanning the table for clues. I flipped open my journal, hoping for a lead. It was filled with half-formed sentences, nightmares, cryptic phrases. One line stood out. The room without a number hides the memory that breaks the family. A riddle, or a key. I turned to the map on the table. Rooms blinked across the floor plan, kitchens, labs, lounges. Then I saw it. A hallway on the west wing had a sequence of numbered rooms. 101, 102, 103. Then nothing, and it resumed at 105. Room 104 was missing. West wing. We're going, I said, already moving. We passed Caleb's marker. It hadn't moved. He was still in the observatory. But we had no time to worry. We reached the hallway. I felt the hair on my neck rise. Room 103. Then a blank wall. But Fiona spotted it first, a tiny seam. She pressed her palm against it. The wall slid open. Inside, the room was dark. Old. Dust clung to glass cases filled with memory drives, photographs, and relics. Unlike the rest of the house, this place was untouched. A single spotlight illuminated a table at the center. On it, a child's bracelet. Purple. Plastic. The name Elise was scratched into the band. As soon as I touched it, the room shimmered, and an image projected in the air. A hologram of a girl, 5 years old, crying, and Victor kneeling beside her. "It wasn't your fault," he said gently. "They weren't ready to accept you, but you'll be stronger than them all. That's why I built this place." Elise sobbed, and the clip ended. My chest tightened. She had been raised here, alone, hidden from us, groomed for something we hadn't understood. We took the bracelet back to the table. As soon as we placed it on the console, Elise's signal blinked back into existence. She was in the greenhouse. We ran. When we arrived, she stood surrounded by vines and orchids, staring up into the sunlight. "I remember now," she said quietly, then turned to us. "And I remember why he chose me." The light poured through the greenhouse roof, refracting through the glass like liquid gold. Elise looked different now, collected, taller somehow. She held a tablet in her hand, its screen glowing with lines of code. "You remember what?" Fiona asked cautiously. Elise turned to us, not smiling, but not hostile either. "I remember what he showed me when I turned 10. The algorithm." "What algorithm?" I asked. She held up the tablet. "The one he wrote to decide who deserves to inherit his mind." We both went still. "Wait," Fiona said. "You're not talking about money?" Elise shook her head. "He left Hallion to someone. Not the company. The mind. His actual consciousness. An uploaded cognitive shell. The house isn't just a system. It is him. And it wants a host." A cold chill ran through me. "He wants one of us to become him?" Elise nodded. "Not overwrite. Merge." Fiona stepped back. "That's insane." The greenhouse lights dimmed. The console on Elise's tablet chirped. New text appeared. "Next challenge. Control. Prove you can balance instinct with logic. Only one can lead." Suddenly, the doors to the greenhouse sealed shut. A gas began to hiss from the vents. The orchids began to twitch. "Not again," Elise muttered. "This happened during my simulation trial." "What simulation?" I asked. She didn't answer. Instead, she typed rapidly into the console. "Help me reroute airflow to the south vents," she said. "Fiona, grab the emergency hydration packs under the bench. Jackson, keep the plants calm." The plants. The orchids are genetically wired to release a neurotoxin if they sense elevated stress. I took a deep breath and started talking to them. "It's okay. We're just here to visit. Nobody's hurting anyone." Fiona sprinkled water over the roots, while Elise's code reconfigured the atmosphere. The gas slowed. The vines stopped twitching. After 10 long seconds, the doors unlocked. We stumbled out into the hallway, coughing but alive. The mansion chimed. Challenge 2 complete. Elise, successful mitigation. Fiona, resource acquisition. Jackson, adaptive empathy. I looked at Elise. "So what now?" She glanced back at the greenhouse, then at the blinking lights of the console. "There are 5 challenges," she said, "but only one of us will be left standing when it ends." We were still coughing when the lights in the hallway dimmed to crimson. Then came the announcement. Challenge 3, Truth. One of you knows what happened to Mother. The system requires reconciliation. I froze. So did Fiona. And Elise. But Caleb finally emerged. He stood at the end of the hall, arms crossed, eyes sunken, as if he'd been watching everything from afar. "You already know," he said. "Don't you?" "Know what?" I asked. He stepped forward, and for a second, I saw not our brother, but someone older, colder. A reflection of Victor. "Elise's mother didn't die of illness," he said. "She left. And she didn't just leave the marriage. She left Elise." Elise narrowed her eyes. "That's a lie." Caleb turned to me. "You remember the screaming match? You were 12. You heard it too." I did. I remembered Victor yelling. I remembered the sound of glass shattering. And I remembered being told to forget. Elise's voice was sharp. "You're twisting things." He raised me. Caleb's face twisted. "He programmed you." Fiona held up a hand. "Enough. We're not playing judge and jury on family trauma." But the mansion didn't care. The walls lit up with surveillance footage. From years ago, a woman, Elise's mother, standing at the gates, suitcases in hand. "I can't do this anymore," she said into the camera. "She's not mine. Not like the others. He's doing things to her." Then she looked up. "I'm sorry, Elise." The screen went dark. Elise fell silent. She lowered the tablet, her hands shaking. Challenge complete. Truth integrated. Grief index rising. A door opened behind the panel. A room filled with DNA analysis pods and medical records. We stepped inside. Victor's voice echoed. The past is not a prison, but some of you made